Got it. Cool. Well, hello, Mr. Harper.
How are you?
Good. Good to see you again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's a
I
pleasure.
got to tell you, it's quite an honor for us to be your last live interview before tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for the opportunity and the platform. So, like I said, just here to serve, and I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity to speak to the constitutional guardian. So, thank you.
You're welcome. How are you feeling about tomorrow?
I'm feeling great. Actually, it's been about a 15-month ordeal. I literally started searching this process out last February, and I made my initial launch in May. And so really, when I look at the polling that was finally done, it was the first time I was actually polled. And when I consider the fact that I've been blocked on every televised opportunity, many senatorial forums that were important for decision making, I wasn't able to participate in. But when I look at the 80 plus counties I was able to go in and see that I polled in fourth place behind Walker, Budd, and McCrory, I think it speaks volumes to the efforts of the grassroots, my team, and people have resonated with the message that we've been bringing to North Carolina.
Well, I was very, very happy when you sent me that text that you had polled in behind Walker. That was really, really cool. So as we are approaching tomorrow, and what do you have to say to those voters who are waiting till Election Day? Tell them what they need to know about Ken Harper.
Well, sure. First and foremost, myself, just to give you a little background, I grew up here in North Carolina. I'm a husband. I have 4 daughters. I have a grandson. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. But more importantly, I'm a man of God. I'm a man of integrity. And I really have taken I really take a lot of pride in how I treat people, how I've conducted my life in business and worked in the community. And for me, I heard a call. I think when you look at where we are right now in the United States of America, it's time for men and women and leaders to truly rise up and make a difference and truly resonate with the best interests of our constituents here in North Carolina. And so when I look at the people that are on the ballot, and when I look at myself, the clear difference that I would tell them is, one, I'm willing to be completely transparent, be completely open, follow our Constitution, and also listen to the people on the ground and focus on the core issues that protect the prosperity of our future, securing our borders, of getting a strong, viable economy, putting America's policies first, removing the CRT that has just infiltrated our schools, reducing the regulatory authorities of the federal government, and truly putting the power back into the hands of the people. We've gotten completely off course here, and we need someone that is non-establishment, that's not willing to be compromised. Nobody gave me anything. Most of those candidates that you're able to see on television, they got millions of dollars handed to them, millions of dollars of endorsements. I pretty much decided that I wasn't going to take any special interest dollars and no PAC dollars, and run a clean race and truly resonate with the heart and the pulse of North Carolina. And that's what we've done over these last 15 months.
Well, I can tell you one of the things that I have picked up from you is a lot of what you're saying on what you plan to do is everything all of us want to hear. The difference in what you and I have talked about is that you actually have a plan in place. Like when you were talking about how you intend to remain in the know with your constituents, is that
the Carolina consensus. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. The Carolina consensus is just really about putting the transparency back in place and putting the power back into the hands of the people. Because, really what has happened now is we have politicians that have taken complete power away from the electorate, and super PACs who are dominating the voice of the electorate. And they pretty much dominate the votes that your elected official is going to make on your behalf. That is completely unconstitutional. And so one of the things that I believe that has to be reestablished is trust and transparency. And the way that I plan on doing that is with the Carolina consensus. There's 10 million people here in North Carolina. There's no way that one individual can impact a state and have a voice of the state without truly communicating across all 100 counties, and also establishing relationships with boots on the ground. And so I want to create pretty much a database that would allow my constituents to reach out to me, communicate with me, because one of the things you hear a lot is nobody returns my calls. We call and call and call. Nobody follows up. We never get a return email. We never get a return phone call. We really don't have any relationship with our constituents. I want to give that back to the people of North Carolina. So with the Carolina Consensus, it allows me to build relationships, whether we're talking about with the mayors in the city, whether we're talking about city council, whether we're talking about law enforcement community, because that's another component. Any elected official who truly acts as if they are a know-it-all, especially on all subject matters, I think that person is a fool. So it would behoove of me to make sure that I'm connecting with boots on the ground here in North Carolina that have knowledge and expertise about bills and things of that nature that potentially could help me put forth legislation that will impact the benefits of North Carolina. But at the same time, it allows me to connect with people here in North Carolina, listen to their questions, listen to their concerns, and bring forth solutions. And if I don't have the answer or the solution, give me the opportunity to do the homework and the due diligence to find out what they can do and how I can connect them to the right people. And the only way that I can do that effectively is talking to you and putting the power back into your hands. And so what what it would do in essence, before I would take a vote on any bill, I would be able to explain the details of that bill and take a pulse in real time of how North Carolina would want me to vote on this legislation. And again, based off two things. One, the Constitution, well, three things. One, the Constitution, two, the people, and three, my personal morality, which that for me, that's connected to the Bible. And so, that's how I really would do my voting and bring transparency and trust back to North Carolina.
That's great. James, if you could put your computer on mute, please. Thank you. So one of the things we didn't get to talk about a couple of weeks ago, and something that I know was very important to me and many members inside this group, is our Second Amendment rights, the rights to bear arms. And as we saw a weekend of just absolute chaos, how do you see this as an opportunity for the more progressive liberal side of the United States to take away and enact more gun control? And first, that's the first question. Do you see it going that way? Number two, how are you going to handle it? And where do you stand from a 2A perspective?
Well, again, that is our constitutional right. I don't believe the federal government has the authority to regulate our firearms and impede our constitutional right to bear arms. This Constitution is clear. It says that it should not be infringed upon. And so I will stand and protect the Second Amendment right. Because, as a husband and as a father of four daughters, it makes me feel good when I go to sleep at night that, I have my 9mm and I hope I don't never have to use it. But it feels good that as the man of my house, that I have that peace of mind and protection. And even when we're traveling and when we're going about, because where we are right now, so I look at the red flag laws, which are problematic. They want to create a database of Americans to track us and keep us in line. But I would push against any type of regulatory authority that is going to impede our Second Amendment. And also too, I would like to see the Second Amendment be a constitutional right for here in North Carolina, from the perspective of North Carolinians just being able to, not have to apply for a license per se, but it would be a constitutional right. And because the Constitution does give us that viability, obviously individuals need to be background checked from that perspective. But nonetheless, I would love to see North Carolina move to a constitutional state and protect our Second Amendment. And, lo and behold, they don't talk about all the individuals whose lives are saved. Over 1 million lives every single year are saved because individuals do have the capability of utilizing their firearm, like, Kyle Rittenhouse, when we looked at the fact that, he was able to protect himself and, the personal property, and our Constitution really, in retrospect, holds that up high. And so I definitely would defend and protect our Second Amendment right to the right to bear arms.
Well, hopefully we won't get to that, but I just feel like a lot of this talk with ghost guns and gun violence and assault weapons and all this terminology that's absolutely incorrect, number one. I just feel like that's some more of that indoctrination of the wrong information and, just putting that in the heads of the masses. And,
I
I just
agree.
want to make sure we have strong constitutional values, which, you've proven that, but we didn't get to talk about that specifically. And it's really important to me. So thank you for answering that.
Oh, absolutely. Every American really needs to be able to bear arms and protect their family and protect their business. And again, it is a constitutional right, and it's something that I definitely will stand for. And when we look at the defunding the police, efforts over the last 2.5 years or so, we've seen the increase of crime. Just last night, I haven't seen the ending of the details, but just last night in Forsyth County, which is a few counties over from me, 7 people were shot last night. Apparently there were no fatal injuries, but nonetheless, individuals need to be able to have a firearm just in case they have to defend themselves.
Right.
And so, a lot of what we're seeing is criminals are, on the loose and rampant because of the lackadaisical efforts of defunding the police. Crime has increased. Law enforcement morale is down. Many law enforcement communities are short-staffed. And so I definitely also would support qualified immunity for our law enforcement officers because we need them in the streets. We need to have a safe community. And, we definitely have to make sure that our law enforcement officers have adequate and professional training and all the resources that they need to keep our communities secure. And so, and also we need to begin to build bridges with law enforcement and community, build stronger ties and stronger bridges in the law enforcement community, because right now they're being made to put targets on their backs. And I definitely feel that we have to stand with our law enforcement officers. We have to protect our Second Amendment right as well.
Yeah. Well, what do you feel as we are approaching tomorrow? What do you feel is the number one priority amongst your constituents here in North Carolina?
Well, I would say the number one priority, and that's on the hearts and minds of every North Carolina constituent, is inflation. When we look at pretty much Joe Biden's policies and his economic policies, they did with stimulus. They passed over $5 trillion worth of taxpayer dollars, which flooded the economy, weakened our dollar, and caused inflation to increase. And the impact has been seen at the gas pump, at the grocery store, and even with our supply chains, with parents even struggling to get baby formula. We're the United States of America. And I'm very concerned because even some of our food supply chains have been destroyed by fire. When we look at, and so many things that I believe are strategic. I really believe we're in the middle of a culture communist revolution. And when you look at the leaks that are taking place at the Supreme Court, when you look at the breaking down of our supply chains, the flooding of the southern border, where we have illegals just continuously coming into this country, and we have the Biden administration who truly has ignored this problem and allowed entitlements to expand with illegal immigrants. There's so many issues right now, but I think really first and foremost is one, building back a strong, viable economy. I believe many small business and entrepreneurs, today I was just putting out signs in Rockingham County off a busy intersection, and there was a Walmart there, and there was a Little Caesars Pizza, and the sign said temporarily closed. And I'm thinking to myself, how many people, are hungry and can utilize a pizza, but why is Little Caesars Pizza closed? Well, we know why. The federal government has incentivized individuals to sit home and get entitlements. And now small businesses have been struggling to find employees. And not only that, but we look at the state coffers, which are flush with federal dollars. Many of and our state may not have needed these funds, but what we did was we tied the hands of small businesses and entrepreneurs to be able to grow their businesses. So I would like to see, small businesses have an opportunity to, one, have a reduction in their state and federal taxes, especially behind COVID with the lockdowns and all the federal regulation that took place, and just really get us back into a viable, strong economy. And, and when we look in going forward, I can already see that they're already talking about trying to see about a new variant coming out. They're talking about how bad it's going to be in the fall. So we really got to be proactive and really understand the game that's being played here. And really, so there's so many different things that are at the top of people's mind. But economically, I want to make sure that Americans, we are moving forward with a strong economic package by, one, reducing taxes for Americans, because a lot of the tax benefits that President Trump put in place were really working for middle class Americans, and also working for small businesses. So I'd like to see a lot of those things remain in place. And so these are just a few issues that I really think that we need to address immediately: securing our borders, a strong economy, and also protecting our children by removing this CRT out of the schools.
Have you seen the pictures of the pallets of formula that's at the border?
It's, it's unbelievable. It's just almost like a game is being played with the American people. When I look at, what is happening at the border, to me, the an underlining message to me as an American says, you know what, we want to create sanctuary cities. We don't think the viability of the sovereignty of America is no longer important. And really, Joe Biden and the Joe Biden administration, really, to me, we need to be looking at the 25th Amendment that potentially could get rid of Joe Biden. But the only thing is, Kamala Harris doesn't have any more promise. And Lord knows we don't need Nancy Pelosi and any help. So really, we're in a rock and a hard place here. And I think from what I see happening is the Republicans aren't pushing back hard enough and fast enough to really clog up these holes and really protect Americans. And we need leaders who are truly willing to do whatever it takes to protect the natural interests of America first and put America first. And you look at, I believe they passed a bill of $40 billion. We don't have $40 billion to send over to Ukraine. When you look at all the catastrophic issues, the rise in crime, and all the things that are taking place here in America, it's time for America to put America's interests first. We cannot continue to depend on foreign nations to take care of the needs of Americans. And if we don't get off this trajectory, I just believe that America is really going to continue to be unraveled. And if the last domino of freedoms fall, we truly will be in a precarious situation as a country and as a world.
I heard something at work yesterday that one of my coworkers told me, a professor told him, and it was, you can only vote for communism once. And that's one of the things that I feel like people need to realize, that how many people can't look at. I got into an argument on Twitter the other day with this woman because I referenced Nancy as drunk Nancy, and whatever. But this lady came at me about how could I talk about her that way, and I'm like, oh my God, she's a train wreck, and you are here to. So the amount of people that still support this administration absolutely blows my mind. And you're right. If we don't get some quick turnaround, and it goes back to what you said last time, in that the Republican Party being fractured and how well the Democratic Party is organized. And, that's really what I hope to see moving forward come this November.
Absolutely. Well, if you look at Joe Biden's approval ratings, they continue to drop. 41% of Americans approve of the job Joe Biden is doing, but 56% of Americans disapprove. 33% of Americans also said the United States, we're going in the right direction, while 67% said the country is clearly on the wrong track. And so, again, we need leaders in the Republican Party who will stop utilizing political propaganda for their own personal gain and realize the crisis that we're in right now in America, and truly serve the interests of Americans and fight for our Constitution and fight for our freedoms. We look at all the things that you're talking about as it relates to communism. I mean, daily we're seeing their plays, whether you're talking about the disinformation that board. I mean, that is clearly against the First Amendment. And we
Yes.
have to protect our First Amendment. When you look at also the breach of trust, again, that we saw at the Supreme Court. And, it was just really, truly a ploy to the left who stand for abortion to truly try to stifle and weaken our institution. And so we need to get to the bottom of these individuals who have infiltrated our federal government and bring them to justice. And it's just really time. Also, I watched, Dinesh D'Souza 2000 Mules.
I was going to ask you.
Oh my Lord, I was just floored with the massive amount of evidence that documentary puts forth. I mean, to me, it is now time to gather the Department of Justice and the law enforcement community and to get to the bottom of these organizations who have hired these mules, this ballot harvesting that truly is derailing our elections, free and fair elections. And again, we can't continue to allow them to control the narrative. And sadly, we have too many in the Republican Party who truly are focused on the elitists and focus on the few having the power instead of putting that power back into the hands of the people. And if we don't get the right leaders and get it done fast, we are not going to have a country to save. And that's just the truth of the matter. And regardless of what happens tomorrow, I'm not going anywhere because there's work to be done. I have learned a lot in the last 15 months. Okay, the NCGOP, and yes, I am going to say it. The NCGOP has the infrastructure needs to be changed from the perspective of because it is controlled by money. Mm-hmm. It has voiding out the voice of the electorate. PACs. I'm going to say something I've seen appalling. Me and my wife was watching some of the political commercials. Listen, Madison Cawthorn. Listen, I don't know Madison. We all make some mistakes, okay? But when I seen that commercial of that young man in a hotel in a bedroom with no clothes on, okay? And this is on TV, okay? Where we are today politically and what we're doing to individuals and people, okay? If you don't like somebody, okay, let's vote them out. But you don't have to tear that individual to a shred. I mean, I've never seen such toxicity. I know. I literally couldn't believe that the man was in a hotel room with no clothes on.
And it was probably a commercial from a Republican.
It was a Republican PAC.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Who put this type of commercial out? So what I'm saying is, we have lowered our standards in the Republican Party, and now we're actually just like the Democrats and playing the same games, okay? I mean, pretty much, I was fourth in the polls with no televised debates, okay? No access to very important platforms for people to hear my voice, but I still, by the grace of God and the grassroots, were able to raise up to the fourth position. See, when we are playing these types of games in the political realm, what we ultimately are gonna see is our Constitution and the values for which it stands to be completely eliminated. There will be no more checks and balances,
right?
Because pretty much the power will be in the hands of a few people, and people are sick and tired because we don't have elected officials who truly will have integrity, listen to our issues. We've got so many antiquated things that we're doing in the Republican Party. We've got a whole generation of millennials and Generation X that we're not reaching out in the party. We want to pick our candidates, and we don't want to give everybody a level playing field and let the constituents decide who they want to support. And this right here, in retrospect, is really retrogression. And the Republican Party has gotten away from a strong message of standing for liberty and life in the pursuit of happiness and protecting what we do, we hold true. And that is our flag and our Constitution and protecting our children. And you look at all these policies, the Democrats are putting nothing out but sexualization, indoctrination, inoculation, high inflation, and illegal immigration. I mean, this makes no sense where we are right now.
Well, that's the truth. I mean, if there's one thing that I've noticed is the North Carolina, just the United States GOP is absolutely tone deaf. You know,
Tone deaf and not willing to listen to not willing to listen to the precincts about actions that need to be made, about how we can make our party stronger, how we also, because a lot of the things we're completely disorganized, the grassroots. We're not taking our message out right now. We should be actually organizing people all over the state, from the perspective of getting people who they may not want to register in the Republican Party, but they can be independent and they have conservative values and they want to vote Republican. But many people tomorrow, I've already gotten calls from people who want to vote for me, but they can't because we're registered as a Democrat. Mm-hmm. Many people are seeing and waking up to where we are right now. But we as Republicans, we need to have a welcome committee. We need to have open arms, and we need to be really teaching conservatism, what our party platform is, what it stands for, and taking that message out and getting rid of this message that the Republican Party is just solely about being some racist party. I'm so tired of that. That is not what the Republican values stand on. We stand on a conservative platform that protects the liberties and the freedoms of all Americans, that believes in less government regulating our lives, first and foremost, and protecting the interests of every single American.
Well, I know your time is limited tonight, and I do appreciate you taking that little bit of time and spending it with us. Any closing thoughts?
Well, my closing thoughts is, tomorrow is really a big day for us as a nation. We need to really make sure that we understand who we're voting for, where they stand, and their morality of what they stand for. I will stand for protecting our Constitution. I will stand for protecting the interests of parents and those of their children, and ridding our schools of critical race theory, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Also ridding our government of trying to police the world and ignoring their interests here in America. I am an American First candidate. I would not have supported any bill that basically was sending billions of dollars overseas. I want to protect our military, because the best and brightest military individuals are leaving North Carolina, leaving our military all across the country because they're being forced to be inoculated against their own will. So I believe we need to strengthen our military. I believe we need to stand for our veterans. We must continue to fight to overturn Roe versus Wade. And we must fight for life. Abortion has to be abolished in the United States of America. We've killed over 60 million lives. This cannot continue. And we also need to call out the individuals who have committed fraud in our elections. We need to bring these people to justice. The same way that they have a January 6th committee, we need to have a committee for the election fraud that has taken place in the United States of America. We need to bring those people to justice also who committed crimes across the United States and burnt down courthouses and burnt down people's businesses and murdered and pillaged towns all across the United States of America. Here it is, we have a January 6th political prisoners who many of them have not had the opportunity to a speedy trial. It is time to get on the right track. It's time to understand that even if it costs my life, it's worth it, meaning that my 4 daughters and grandson can have a future. Yeah. Because if we don't get off this trajectory, we are headed on a path of destruction. And so we need to understand who we're voting for. We need to understand that PAC money has infiltrated our elections. We need to understand that new money and old money are utilizing nonprofit organizations who are truly manipulating and stealing our elections. We have elected officials who are not willing to bring people to justice anymore. We cannot continue to stay on this trajectory. We cannot continue to move in a forward path as a nation when we have leaders who are capitulating with our enemies. We cannot afford a war with Russia and China and Iran simultaneously. We need to bring leaders who can bring forth peace to protect the sovereignty of our nation, to put in the best interest of America, to secure our borders, to reduce crime in the United States of America, to bring forth morality back into our policies and fight for what's right. And even if they don't like you, even if they talk about you, even if they scandalize your name, be willing to go through the sacrifice to do what's in the best interest of every single American. And so it's critical that you vote for the right individual that represents the morality and the standards for which you want to see in elected office, that's willing to go in and clean house, that's willing to be held accountable, and that has a track record of such. And that's what I stand on. For 15 years, I've worked in the financial service and industry in this state and have sold thousands of insurance policies with zero complaints. That is something I pride myself in it. I pride myself on how I treat people, how I talk to people. I pride myself on the future of leaving a great legacy for the future generation. When I sit here and I look at my grandson and think about where we are as a nation, you know, he's getting ready to start daycare. And they were saying, you know, well, he have to wear a mask. No, he's not wearing no mask. We're not going to no daycares where you're going to make my grandson wear a mask. I went to the doctor this morning and they wanted me to wear a mask. I said, no, ma'am, I'm not wearing a mask. See, masks is nothing but manipulate. They use these masks for manipulating Americans and seeking kickbacks. That's what masks are. It's time to bring these people like Dr. Fauci to justice. Many Americans have died that didn't have to die from COVID-19.
That's right.
So it's so much work to be done. And if you give me the opportunity, I will serve with you, for you, with your best interests at heart. I will always put American interests first. I will fight for the Constitution. I will live out my faith, and I will do what's in the best interest of Americans. Because that's ultimately what a politician should be, is a servant leader. And the only way that you can serve is you must listen to the people for whom which your power comes. Because that's exactly what the Constitution does. It gives the people the power. We have to take our power back. And that's what I want to have the opportunity to do, to be able to work for North Carolina, if that's God's will, and if the people would have me.
Well, amen. We just left Harper Baptist. So thank you, Preacher Harper. You just brought that right to church. I had chills, you know, and that's one thing that I really appreciate, and we all appreciate, is the passion and conviction that is so evident whenever you get to talking about what it is that's driving you to go through this process. So I know your time is up. I do wish you the best. And tomorrow, after everything is solidified for your win, we'd like to have you back on here as we move towards November.
It always would be a pleasure. Win or not, I'm not going anywhere.
Well,
so
amen.
At the end of this, just call me. Let's plan. Let's organize. Let's get together. Because again, there's going to be other opportunities. There's things we need to do in the community. So whatever I can do, regardless, whatever capacity that I'm serving in, I'm a part of this community. I love you guys. I'm so grateful for all my supporters all over the state of North Carolina. We must stomp out this communism, this socialism, these mantras of racism that truly want to rob us of our pursuit of happiness, our life, and our liberties. So we must stand together. We must lock arms, and we must fight the good fight of faith. So God bless you, all you constitutional guardians. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep the faith and keep fighting.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harper. And prayers to you. I hope you enjoyed this evening with your family. Relax, because tomorrow I know is going to be
yeah. My wife